Welcome into the Fade. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis, who went 3-9 humbly in my gambling picks last week in college football, which is an unmitigated disaster. I'm trying to build myself back up after that unmitigated disaster. She is Kelly Stewart, a.k.a. Kelly in Vegas. And Kelly, let's jump right. Let me just say this. This is an amazing weekend of football. Thursday games, Friday games, Saturday games, Sunday games. I don't know that there is a better weekend of the year if you love football than what is coming up right now. Kelly, are you going to be home or are you going to be down? Where are you going to be for Thanksgiving?
I'm going to be here. And in fact, I'm not watching college basketball right now. We got Monday Night Football tonight. We got football every day this week. We got basketball every day. I mean, this is feast week, Clay. Like you got to try to stay home so you can actually enjoy it. Or in your case, one of your other homes so you can actually enjoy it.
I'll be at the other home in Florida. Look, I'm doing normal shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I'm kicking my feet up and watching games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So let's go. By the way, we are taping this on Monday. So when the inevitable, that line is now okay, Monday. We're doing it early this week because there's so much going on with travel and Thanksgiving and everybody else. Let's start, Kelly, in college football because I think the games are way more consequential in college football than they are in the NFL. And I'm going to run through a series of big college football games that go a long way towards determining who's going to be in the playoff. And so I'm going to start with the big games, and then I'm curious what, if anything, you have a strong reaction on. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Egg Bowl, Friday night. I am on Mississippi State plus the points. I know Mississippi. I've gotten hammered betting on Mississippi State this year. I really feel like the Lane Kiffin situation is a distraction. It never really matters what the records are in this game. I am jumping all over Mississippi State. I'm going to hit the big rivalry games, playoff implications. I'm on the over, Kelly, in Georgia Tech. I don't think the Georgia Tech defense can stop anybody. Number steep to me on Georgia, but I like the over. I'm taking Texas to pull off the upset over Texas A&M. Should be a great game. Can't wait for that one. I'm on Michigan plus the points, double-digit underdog roughly for Michigan against Ohio State. I am on the over in the Vandy, Tennessee game, which I cannot wait for. I am on Oregon to cover the 6.5. I like Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Numbers all the way out as we talk on Monday, Kelly. 5.5 is what I just got when I placed my bets earlier today on Monday. Okay, there are other games out there, but I would say those are the most significant, by the way, like the over in the Miami Pitt game as well. Don't like Miami being favored by as many as they are in that game. Do you love any of these big signature rivalry week college football playoff implicated games, or are you running from them?
You know, I'm not doing either, Clay. On a Monday here with games coming in earlier in the week, we've got so many implications. I want to dive in deep. And so in order to do that, I got to spend a little bit more time. But I'm going to tell you what I do have my eye on. And this is something that you guys are going to hear every single talking head discuss. So there's some caveats to it. But right now we have 20 teams that have 5 wins are playing for bowl eligibility, right? And every team and every program is different, right? My Kansas State Wildcats is on this list. And I've been arguing with people for the last few days about them and saying, okay, are they pissed off at the result of the Utah game? Are they going to stick it to Colorado and just be happy to go to Memphis and play in a Liberty Bowl? You've got to figure out motivation as well for these teams. And so it's reading the beat writers. That's listening to the coaches and their quotes. It's listening to captains of the team that do press conferences as well. Because the last thing you want to do is say, oh, well, I'm going to make a case for Auburn here this week because they need that 6th win to go to a bowl game. Well, if Auburn thought they were going to win 10 games this year, do they really care about that 6th win and going to a subsequent meaningless bowl game, if you will?
Particularly in an NIL era, Kelly, because a lot of these guys, as soon as the final game is over, they're on their phones with their agent being like, okay, we go into the portal. What do the dollars look like? In a way that is very different than even just a few years ago, where guys might be like, okay, we're going to get to go to a bowl game. That's going to be fun. So I do think that is even more of a significant factor now than it might have been in the past.
Absolutely. So not only do you have that, you also have coaches leaving, right? You mentioned Lane Kiffin here in the Egg Bowl versus Mississippi State. I love Mississippi State all season long, and I've loved them over the past few seasons. 10-5 against the spread in their last 15 as an underdog makes me think that they are a bet on team. Here's Ole Miss, a team that I bet against a couple of times this year and said, all right, what are we going to get from them? Lane Kiffin is absolutely a distraction, regardless of what anybody says, because you're absolutely right. If Lane is talking about leaving, or it's already a done deal to LSU, it's somewhere in between there from everything that I've read. Guess what? His starting quarterback's going to be doing the exact same thing. He's going to be shopping around. Well, if Lane's not staying, why am I staying? Unless they somehow get a big name hire. But yes, I think the 7 with Mississippi State here is rather attractive on Friday at noon. This is just one of those, hey, we just stuffed ourselves full of food. Ole Miss sitting there at 10-1. Do they need this game to get in the playoff? Does it really matter? I don't know. I don't think they're going to control their own destiny as much as...
I think it does. If you look at a lot of these 2-loss teams, which I think Kelly actually factors in as way more pressure on them, whereas I think Mississippi State, they're just going to be like, hey, we're at home. We know these guys, no pressure. I really like them as the underdog. But yeah, I think one of the challenges the committee's going to have is Mississippi State going to potentially knock Ole Miss out? Imagine if Lane Kiffin announces on Saturday, peace out, boys, I'm going to a new job. This is a big pivot point, I think.
I think so, too. Another game on Friday that you mentioned was Georgia Tech. I know Georgia Tech getting a lot of love in the betting marketplace this year, but I think this line is very telling. 13.5, marching it out there kind of lets you know what is going on here as far as the power ratings go. Clay, I saw something you posted earlier about Notre Dame, whether it's Notre Dame, whether it's Miami, whether it's any of these 2-loss teams deserving to get in. I think we need to go back to power ratings. I think we let Vegas dictate. And guess what? The SEC will be happy because that means they're probably going to get 5 or 6 teams in from a power ratings perspective. Again, you still have to play the game on the field. So I completely understand your argument saying, well, Miami won head to head. But here's the other argument. And it's the argument the SEC has been making for a really long time. And it upsets me because otherwise we could say Alabama doesn't deserve to get in because they lost to Florida State. It's not how you start. It's how you finish. We know Alabama that lost to Florida State week 1 is significantly a better team as it stands today, headed in to rivalry week. And we also know that Notre Dame, as it stands today, is a significantly better team. So just something to think about there. I understand from an eye test perspective, why people are upset that certain teams are ahead, whether it's in the AP poll, whether it's in the college football playoff. But ultimately, I would like to think that they are going back to that power rating system. The BCS had its own set of flaws, but I do think that from a pure numbers perspective, it was at least better.
Anything else? I've got a lot of these games. And by the way, I'm going to write this as soon as I finish the show, basically this evening, because I've got to get, like a lot of you do, travel and kids and everything else. I like South Carolina to win in the under in the Clemson game. I like Arkansas to finally get a win against Mizzou. Let's see. These are not games that necessarily implicate the playoff. I don't know if I mentioned this. Kelly, LSU, Oklahoma. The over-under is 36.5. That's one of the lowest numbers I have ever seen. I'm going to take the over in that one, by the way. Let's see. UF to beat FSU. Let's see. And Iowa, Nebraska, I'm going to take the under. So those are all my games. What are you doing on Kansas State, Colorado? Because that was your team ran for over 400 yards and lost, which doesn't happen very often.
No, and that was really frustrating. And I could sit here and complain about the refs, but everybody else that saw that game saw everything that I saw as well. Ultimately, you've got to get that first down and you've got to run the football so that you can seal the deal and win that football game. As far as Colorado goes, team sitting there at 3-8. I don't know how motivated they are. They haven't seemed to care over the last 6 weeks in any form or fashion. Is Coach Prime going to stay there? I highly doubt it. Not only have they not won over the last six weeks, they haven't even tried to cover. They're 0 for 5 on the road this season against the spread. I think this is a chance for Kansas State to take out a lot of anger. I sent out a text yesterday just asking, what is the sentiment in the locker room? I have a buddy who's a pretty good beat right over there. And he texted me back, they are effing pissed. So listen, you can get with that for what you will, right? Not like we quit, we hate our coach, our season's over. Like, these kids still want to play for their coach. As mad as I've been at him and the offensive coordinator, Matt Wells, all season long, if you still got control over the locker room, that's a good sign. 16.5 is a lot of points. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be an absolute utter blowout, like a 44-10 type of scenario. Saying I'm going to bet it might be a completely different argument. I know the best of the numbers already gone, already 17, saw 16.5 yesterday, 17.5. And this line is only going one way because people have been making a fortune betting against Arizona. Another team that I wanted to look at this week was the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Clay. You and I did not do a show last week, but I gave out 5 underdogs this week, and K-State was one of them. Oklahoma State was one of them. Wisconsin was one of them. And then the other two were Kentucky and Maryland. So we're not going to talk about those two. But the way that Oklahoma State lost that game versus UCF is kind of a similar sentiment here. Now they're at home. They still want to play. We saw it last week. They still care. This is a winnable game for them here at home against an Iowa State team that is absolutely reeling. Sure, they beat KU last week, but keep in mind here, this is their bowl game. And so they're not going to get to go to anywhere fun. They are 1-10 on the season. Obviously, Gundy got fired early on, and they've just shown that they still care. And those are the types of teams that I'm looking at throughout the week. So Oklahoma State is on my double-digit dog list once again. You mentioned Miami, Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh kind of got taken to the woodshed by Notre Dame. And I think that line kind of told us how much better Notre Dame was, especially on the road when they were a 10.5-point road favorite, and they just went in and worked Pittsburgh. But this is a Miami team that I said take under 8.5 wins. That was a loser, unfortunately. But what I didn't get wrong was this team not being near as good as advertised. They found a couple ways to win. Carson Beck was not impressive. And I think most Georgia fans would agree they are happy that he is gone. I think this is a chance for Pittsburgh, who's 6-1 in their last 7 games, besides that Notre Dame game, against the spread here as a short home favorite. So I do like Pittsburgh. And there's a couple other that were on my long list in terms of, do you care? Do you need to set a precedent to get in? Texas Tech, one of those teams that needs to set a precedent to be able to get in, not only to the Big 12 championship game, but to the college football playoff, right? I'm guessing they're going to give 2 spots to the Big 12, probably the Big 12 champion and the Big 12 loser. So keep in mind, some of these teams are going to need those style points. And when you're playing teams like West Virginia, that's a really good opportunity to be able to run up the score.
All right, let's go into the NFL. Again, cornucopia of football excess. I can't wait. I'm super excited to just get on the road, be able to kick my feet up. I'm doing the Clay and Buck show Wednesday. And then I think basically I'm dialing out being able to watch games. Let's start with a lot of the Thursday games because that's going to be here soon. I'll tell you where I am, Kelly. I'm on the Lions. This is funny. You know, my wife Laura is from Detroit. I've been with her family a lot. I always bet on the Lions. Most of the time, they tend to make me sad. I think they handle the Packers. They're only around a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going to take the Cowboys as the road dog against the Chiefs. I was rooting so hard for the Chiefs to lose that game yesterday against the Colts because I would just like new teams. Nothing against the Chiefs. I would just like new teams to be able to follow. I think Chiefs fans have had plenty of things to be excited about. Bengals have announced that Joe Burrow's coming back. I'm taking them plus the points against the Ravens. And then I'm taking the Bears plus the points against the Eagles. I'll hit you with a couple more. Bucks to handle the Cardinals. The Bucks have been disappointing lately, minus 2.5. And then Thanksgiving Miracle. I'm going to take the Titans plus the points against the Jags, Kelly. I actually think the Titan offense is starting to play a bit better. This is a home game for the Titans. Jags haven't really been that consistent. Titans are 1-10, like the worst team to gamble on in the history of mankind. Sooner or later, the numbers just get too steep.
They care.
Yeah, I thought they played pretty hard against the Seahawks, and the number was all the way out to 13. Cam Ward is showing a little bit of green shoots there. I hit you with my OutKick 6-pack all in a row there. Do you like anything in the NFL in particular here as we move on to Thanksgiving weekend in the NFL?
I know this isn't what the audience wants to hear, but teasers have been amazing. So if you can find teams 7.5 down, below the field goal or above the field goal, like the Packers, if you can find a 2.5 on the Packers, get them up above that touchdown. I like the Packers there in that situation. I looked at betting against the Packers last week because they're so banged up. I could not trust JJ McCarthy, and I'm glad that I did not. But I look for this to be an awesome game. I think it's going to be a great shootout. And I think that one of the teams wins by less than a touchdown. Kansas City, Dallas. I am with you on the Dallas Cowboys. I loved them yesterday, and it was 21-0. And I thought, I'm the biggest idiot I know. And then here come the Cowboys, because that defense is really improved. And I've been saying that over the last couple of weeks. They're starting to gel after the bye week. Dak needs to stop doing dumb things. And that's usually what benefits the Chiefs, is people beating themselves, because the Chiefs can't beat anybody right now. They just can't. That offense is not good. I'm excited. I'm going to cash that not to make a playoff ticket 3-1. I'm excited to cash my under 11.5 wins with that team. And I think it kind of comes to fruition there on Thanksgiving afternoon. I don't know what to make of Joe Burrow. Have no idea. He gets one bad hit. Is he back out again? I haven't heard anything. They've kind of kept it tight-lipped. I know they said last week he might be starting for the Bengals. That line went a little crazy. Now this week they're saying the same thing. I'm just going to say buyer beware. I have no desire to really get involved in that game just yet. Another team I said was absolutely fraudulent on social media, and then they made me eat my words. The Chicago Bears said they were the most fraudulent team. They can't beat any real teams. Well, they beat Mason Rudolph and the Steelers. We're going to see if they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Power ratings wise, Eagles are right at some of the top teams, even though they did just lose to their division rival, the Cowboys, yesterday. So keep an eye out on Philadelphia. It hit 7.5. I'm putting Philadelphia in every single one of my teasers. You mentioned the Cardinals and the Bucks. Whoa, the Bucks. They have just fallen from grace since their bye week. Just absolutely, they lose to the Patriots. They lose to the Bills. They get absolutely wrecked last night. Granted, Baker Mayfield threw that pick 6 and then Teddy Bridgewater came in. But my goodness, is this a buy low spot on the Bucks? More importantly, it's a fade of the Cardinals, Clay. This Cardinals team, what did we see yesterday? They had many opportunities to win that game, and then they couldn't. That has to be defeating. Your season is basically over. Jonathan Gannon's not going to have a job at the end of the year. Is Kyler Murray still going to be the quarterback there? I think not. So look to start fading those teams that have just been like, all right, enough. And especially there on a buy low spot of Tampa Bay. I think also we've got to start fading the Las Vegas Raiders. Last week, everybody wanted to take the Raiders, and I said, absolutely not. Now, granted, I wasn't on the Browns, but there was no reason to lay points with the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. They have shown us absolutely nothing, zilch. I think the Chargers run away with this one. I'm using Chargers in Survivor for those of you that are still alive there. And that's really all I've got for this week, Clay. I'm real close Monday Night Football to taking Jameis Winston and the 7.5. But man, betting against the Patriots has not been good to me. I did have the Bengals plus 7.5 yesterday, and I will take it.
Kelly, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. What's your power rate? What is your, let me say this. I just got back from Italy, got to set up a meeting with the Pope. I mean, that's kind of awesome. Never would have anticipated that. But if I were setting over-unders, I know when you went to Italy, you had a big, awesome trip. I've been twice now. We went a couple of years ago, and then we had a quick trip last week. Both times, I came back thinking, I have eaten so much pasta. I have drank so much wine. I have had also so much gelato. And I actually weigh less this morning than I did before I went to Italy. Did that work for you too, or did everything fall apart?
No, of course not. It works perfect because you have to walk so much and it's hot and you're sweating and you're just getting out all those toxins. And then next thing you know, you have another glass of wine with lunch and some pasta and some bread and you're right back in the mix. I've been to Italy twice as well. And I just found out I got a wedding there in April. I can't wait for a third time. It is probably, I would never live there permanently because I love the United States too much, but it is probably one place that I could be talked into for living maybe 3 or 4 months out of the year.
I think it's my favorite country in Europe. Now, I haven't
I would
been
agree.
to every country. I really like England. I like London a lot. I haven't been to London in a few years, so maybe the vibe has changed a bit, at least based on the way that I see stories online. But I love Italy. I think it is spectacular. I was just going to ask you, what is your number one draft pick Thanksgiving food? If you could only eat one thing, what is your number one?
You guys are going to hate this. I'm going to get slaughtered for this. My mom and I make a sourdough stuffing with sausage and onions and carrots and celery. And it is, I don't know. I'm a carb girl, Clay. I'm never going to have abs because I love carbs.
Stuffing
and it
is your number one pick?
It is so good. I told you everybody's going to hate me. Turkey is so bland. Gravy sucks. I'm making a beef tenderloin for myself just to give you an idea. I'm going to do a turkey. But I'm making a beef tenderloin like I always do. I either do tomahawks or tenderloin personally. Just my thing. And of course, mashed potatoes are good, but that's not only a Thanksgiving food. And I'm not a pie person. So
my number one is pecan pie, which I think is a Thanksgiving staple. I also love canned cranberries, which I get lit up for every year. I think that they are so good. I could eat cranberries out of the can. Also,
and
I
that
know a
is
lot of
so
people
repulsive
make
to me.
cranberries.
Like my mom makes fresh cranberry sauce. I'll get you the
I would
recipe.
like that too.
Yeah, the can where it's shaped like the can. I have like some texture issues going on with that. I don't know what the deal is.
Don't tear your ACLs in the family Thanksgiving game. Don't tear any appendages. Stay safe. Don't hit the kids too hard. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm watching. Kelly's watching. We'll be back hopefully for you next week to kind of set the table. There you go. For everything coming up with the conference championship games and the playoff picture. All that still to come. Kelly, thank you for being flexible. Y'all have great weeks. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, Clay. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.